You are terrified. Not just a little afraid, but gripped by a cold, suffocating fear every time the idea of being truly seen by another soul crosses your mind. You wonder, what if they look beyond the mask? What if they discover the parts of me I've hidden? The shame, the scars, the messy, fractured pieces I don't even understand myself. This fear pulses in your veins like a silent scream. You want connection, deep and real, but your heart clenches tight whenever the light shines too close. To be seen is to be vulnerable, to risk judgment, rejection, the cracking open of your carefully built armor. So instead you retreat. You hide behind personas, scripts, smiles that don't reach your eyes. But why? Why does the simple act of being seen feel like walking on a razor's edge? Why does your soul shrink at the thought of authentic intimacy? This is the secret you're carrying. A shadow lurking beneath your surface. An unspoken wound shaped in childhood. Nurtured by fear, shame, and rejection. Carl Jung, the great psychologist and seeker of the soul's mysteries, understood this darkness better than most. He called it the shadow. The parts of yourself you deny, hide, or despise because you believe they will make you unlovable. In this journey, you'll walk through that shadow. You'll face the truths about why you're scared to be seen. Truths about your past, your inner child, and the parts of you you've tried to bury. But more than that, you'll discover what this fear reveals about who you really are beneath the layers. You are not alone. This fear connects you to something deeply human, a universal struggle for authenticity and wholeness. And there is a path out of the dark, a path of integration, healing, and courageous self-acceptance. But first you must understand the wound. You must step into the shadow and meet the parts of yourself that have been whispered about in silence for far too long. You grew up learning how to survive. Somewhere along the way, you learned that your true self, with all its raw emotions, desires, fears, was too much for others to bear. Maybe your feelings were dismissed or punished. Maybe love came conditional, wrapped in rules and expectations you could never quite satisfy. So you built walls. You learned to wear a mask, a persona, as Jung called it, that made you acceptable. The persona is not your true face, but a social mask designed to protect you. It's what you show the world so you won't be rejected, shamed, or abandoned. But this mask comes at a cost. Behind it, parts of you wither in silence. Your inner child, still aching for unconditional love and safety. Your shadow, filled with fears and traits you believe make you flawed or unworthy. The more you hide these parts, the more they grow restless, leaking out in moments of anxiety, anger, or deep loneliness. You might feel a constant tension. Inside, the part of you longing to be seen and loved, and the part screaming, if they really see me, they will leave. This internal war is exhausting. It fractures your sense of self and clouds your relationships. You end up disconnected and from others, yes, but most painfully from yourself. You think you know yourself. You know the face you show the world. The carefully curated version that smiles, achieves, plays the role expected of you. But beneath that surface, a vast, dark landscape stretches, wild and uncharted, filled with parts of you that have been exiled, forgotten, or feared. Carl Jung taught that this hidden realm is called the shadow. It holds everything you have denied about yourself, the anger you've pushed down, the pain you won't speak, the desires society told you to suppress. The shadow is the part of you that doesn't fit the image you want to project. The parts you fear would make you unlovable or unworthy if others saw. When you're scared to be seen, it's because your shadow is whispering, if I come out, I will be rejected. Imagine a child in a dark room, trembling and unseen, hiding behind a curtain. That child is your inner self, vulnerable, aching, and desperate for safety. But to keep safe, this child has learned to stay silent, to shrink, to disappear from sight. The shadows on the wall are the fears and stories you've absorbed about yourself. I am not enough. I am broken. I am too much. Every time you avoid being seen, it's a shadow reflex, a survival mechanism. It protects you from the imagined horrors of exposure, shame, ridicule, abandonment, but it also traps you in isolation, loneliness, and self-betrayal. The shadow doesn't just hide in your mind. It influences your relationships, your choices, your habits. It pushes you into patterns of self-sabotage, withdrawing when love feels close, overthinking every word, numbing your feelings, or seeking validation in unhealthy places. You might find yourself playing roles to please others, swallowing your truth to avoid conflict. Maybe you mask your pain with humor or perfectionism. You might even attack others before they can attack you. A preemptive strike born from the fear of being exposed. In truth, the shadow is not your enemy. It is a wounded, misunderstood part of you crying out for acknowledgement and love. But until you dare to face it, it will haunt you, sabotaging your chances at genuine connection. The mask and the mirror, your persona, the mask you wear, is like a shining armor crafted to keep the shadow in the dark. But it also distorts the reflection you see of yourself. You begin to confuse the mask for your true self, and the real you becomes a stranger. This leads to the profound loneliness you feel, surrounded by people, yet profoundly unseen. But the shadow is always watching. It waits patiently for the moment you lower your defenses, the moment you stop hiding. And when that moment comes, it will rise, sometimes in unexpected ways, as overwhelming emotions, sudden outbursts or deep despair. The shadow reveals itself when you are most vulnerable, in the silence. After you turn off the lights, when you are alone with your thoughts, or when someone loves you enough to see past the mask. That is why being truly seen is so terrifying. To be seen means the shadow might emerge, unfiltered, raw, and messy. It means risking rejection not just from others, but from the part of you that clings to control and safety. The spiritual disconnect. There's also a spiritual side to this fear. Jung believed that our soul's journey, individuation, calls us to integrate these shadow parts, to bring them into consciousness and wholeness. But when you're scared to be seen, it's like turning away from your soul's call. You feel disconnected from yourself, from others, from life's deeper meaning. You might have moments where you glimpse this longing, flashes of spiritual awakening that remind you there is more freedom, more authenticity, more love. But the shadow's grip makes you retreat, scared to step fully into that light. The paradox is this: the fear of being seen keeps you trapped, but it also points toward your liberation. It reveals the parts of you that have been wounded and need healing. You don't just carry the fear of being seen in your mind. It's lodged deep in your body, in your nervous system, in the very way you breathe and move through the world. It colors how you think, how you feel, how you connect or disconnect. You might not realize it, but every choice you make is shadowed by this fear. You feel it in moments of silence, the awkward pause with someone new, the glances that feel like judgments, the fear that what you reveal might be too much. So you pull back, you shrink. Maybe you've learned to numb yourself, to avoid feeling because feeling means risking exposure. You binge on distractions, scrolling endlessly, drowning in work, numbing with substances or unhealthy habits. These are shields against your inner vulnerability. You wrestle with overthinking, the mind's desperate attempt to control what feels uncontrollable. You replay conversations, analyze your every word. Imagine every worst-case scenario. It's exhausting because it's not just about the moment. It's about the fear that if you slip up, if you show too much, you will be rejected. You might feel a deep loneliness even in crowded rooms. It's the loneliness of being unseen, of living behind a mask that no one can truly penetrate. You push people away before they get close, because getting close means risking your shadow being exposed. And when you do let someone in, a part of you holds back. The real, messy, imperfect you. There's a secret shame beneath it all. The shame that there is something fundamentally wrong with you. The shame that your inner child, scared and small, still whispers, "I am not enough." This shame is a prison. It locks you in patterns of self-sabotage, perfectionism, and emotional distance. But it also holds a profound truth. You are more than your mask. You are more than your fear. You wake up each day carrying an invisible weight. It's not just anxiety or stress. It's the quiet, persistent dread that someone might glimpse the parts of you you hide away. Parts you don't even fully know yourself. Your dark, tangled emotions, your insecurities, your deepest wounds. This fear has become a lens through which you experience the world. You feel like an actor on a stage, constantly performing, always adjusting your mask to fit the crowd, hoping no one will notice the cracks. You tell yourself to be strong, to be confident, to just be yourself, but inside you're screaming. The real you feels fragile, raw, and vulnerable. You worry that if people see you as you truly are, they will recoil or walk away. So you censor your words, your emotions, even your dreams. You shrink your presence so you won't take up too much space. You stay quiet in conversations, avoid eye contact, and hesitate to share your truth. Sometimes you feel like an outsider, watching others live fully while you remain trapped behind an invisible wall. It's exhausting, and it leaves you lonely in ways words can't describe. You might numb your feelings with distractions, scrolling endlessly, working too much, escaping into fantasy or substance, anything to avoid facing yourself. When you do try to connect, your fear whispers that you'll be rejected. So you hold back. You keep your vulnerability locked away, guarding it like a fragile secret. Your mind races with what ifs. What if they see my flaws? What if I'm not lovable? What if I'm too much? This constant internal struggle shapes your relationships. You crave intimacy but sabotage it. You want to be understood but keep your walls high. You're caught in a paradox, longing to be seen but terrified of it. And yet beneath all this fear, there is a spark. A small, brave part of you yearning to step into the light, to be known fully and loved without conditions. This is your invitation to meet that part of yourself, to see the beauty in your brokenness, the strength in your vulnerability, because only by facing your fear of being seen can you begin to live authentically and free. Carl Jung once said, "The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely." This isn't just a statement, it's a profound invitation and a challenge. You see, Jung believed that beneath the persona, the mask you wear to navigate the world, lies the shadow, the parts of yourself you reject, hide or deny. These shadow aspects aren't flaws to be ashamed of. They are fragments of your whole self, waiting to be recognized and integrated. Your fear of being seen is rooted in the shadow. When you fear exposure, you're really afraid of your shadow being unveiled. The vulnerability, the imperfections, the unacceptable parts that you learned to hide early on. Jung taught that this fear is universal. Everyone carries a shadow formed from childhood wounds, social conditioning, and painful experiences. The shadow grows in the dark, feeding on denial and avoidance. When it stays hidden, it controls you unconsciously, shaping your fears, judgments, and self-sabotage. But here's the paradox. The only way to reclaim your power is to bring the shadow into the light. This process is called individuation, the journey toward becoming whole by embracing all parts of yourself, not just the parts you're proud of. Jung's archetypes also offer insight. You might identify strongly with the wounded child, that inner child carrying hurt and longing for safety, or the trickster who masks pain with humor and distraction. Recognizing these archetypes helps you see your internal drama as part of a greater human story. The persona, meanwhile, is not your enemy. It's a necessary adaptation, a social mask that helps you survive and connect. But when it becomes rigid, when you cling to it out of fear, it traps you in a false identity. Jung reminds you that healing begins when you stop running from the shadow and start to listen to it with compassion. The parts of you you fear to show the world are the very parts needing your love and attention. To be truly seen, not just by others, but by yourself, is to courageously face your shadow and say, "I see you. I accept you. You are part of me." In this acceptance lies freedom. You have lived most of your life hiding, not just from others, but from yourself. But now there is a quiet, insistent call inside you to come home to your own soul, to stop running from your darkness and begin embracing it. Healing is not about quick fixes or empty affirmations. It's about presence, showing up for your pain with gentleness, curiosity, and courage. It's about breaking the silence you've held around your wounds and allowing them to breathe. Your inner child carries your original fears, the fear of not being enough, of being rejected, of being invisible. When you listen to this child, you begin to understand why you're scared to be seen. Their story is your story, and it deserves your love. Next, you must turn towards your shadow, those hidden, disowned parts of yourself. Instead of pushing them away, invite them in. They may appear as anger, jealousy, shame, or deep sadness. They might seem frightening or alien, but they are pieces of your truth. Shadow work means recognizing these feelings without judgment. It means asking, what is this part trying to tell me? What does it need? This compassionate inquiry disarms the shadow's power over you. Integration happens when you bring these parts into your conscious awareness. When you accept your imperfections and contradictions, your soul begins to mend. The persona softens, no longer a mask but a flexible expression of your evolving self. This journey requires patience. You will face resistance, fear, and doubt. Sometimes the pain will feel unbearable, but each time you choose to stay with yourself, to feel rather than flee, you grow stronger and more whole. Spiritual awakening often unfolds through this process. As you dismantle illusions and false selves, you connect more deeply with your essence, the part of you beyond fear, beyond judgment. Remember, healing is not linear. It's a spiral dance, circling around wounds. Returning to them with fresh eyes and a tender heart, practical steps can support your healing. Journaling. Write letters to your inner child and shadow parts. Give them a voice. Mindfulness practice. Observing your thoughts and emotions without trying to change them. Therapy or shadow work groups. Safe spaces can guide you through difficult emotions. Creative expression. Art, music, or movement can unlock unconscious feelings. Setting boundaries. Protect your energy and honor your needs. Radical self-compassion. Speak to yourself as you would to a beloved friend. Above all, remember that being seen, truly seen, begins with seeing yourself. When you accept yourself fully, the fear of exposure loses its grip. You become a beacon of authenticity, inviting others to do the same. This is your sacred work, a quiet revolution of the soul. You have carried your fears in the dark for so long, like shadows stretched beneath moonlight. They seemed endless, a vast, silent wilderness inside you where no one dared to wander. But now something within you stirs, a faint light flickers. It is the courage to be seen, not by others, but by yourself. To be seen is to be vulnerable, to lower the walls you built with trembling hands, to show your cracked, imperfect self and say, "Here I am." And in that moment, the world shifts. Because beneath your fear, beneath your shame, is a truth more radiant than you imagined. You are enough. Whole, fractured, beautiful, and real. Carl Jung once said, "One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. This darkness you feared is not your enemy. It is your guide, your mirror, your gateway to wholeness. So let the masks fall softly to the ground. Let the hidden parts rise into the light. The journey is never over, and yet this step is everything. Your soul remembers. You were born to be seen, to shine not despite your scars, but because of them. Now take a deep breath. Feel the pulse of life within you. The world awaits your truth, and the quiet revolution of your soul begins here. Thank you for trusting this journey. If this spoke to your heart, know that you are not alone. The courage to be seen is the most profound gift you can give yourself.